declared a conflict with check number 021204 and 021262. I don't believe there's any other plenary interest for this part of the meeting. We do have, I guess, a petition. Kevin, are you presenting that or doing anything with that?
I can certainly speak to it.
Okay.
All right.
Have a good summer.
Sorry. Yeah, so just before the preparation of the agenda, petition was submitted for the reduction in speed, posted speed limit along the River Road East between Archer Road and Eastdale Drive. And I think everyone's familiar with that stretch of road. Typically, certainly, we would do the assessment and have a report prepared, making recommendation one way or another in response to the petition. Just didn't have the time to do that prior to the agenda deadline, which we critically tried to meet, as the clerk will tell you. So in this particular case, for committee's information, staff actually do support the reduction of this section of road, recognizing specifically the fact that it's really an extension to that Tiny Beaches Road, which is already posted 44, upwards of, I would say it's probably more than 5 kilometers to the north, and the transition and the rationale makes sense. I think there's certainly an opportunity to reduce the speed in this section of road. Now, I'm not saying we're looking at reducing the speed limit to 40 throughout town. It is a unique situation where it is a continuation of that 40 that we're specifically leaning on, and do support that. I think there's more policy type discussions that need to take place, because it's almost I don't quite say it's a full-time job, but our technician responds almost every other week to speeding inquiries or concerns throughout the community, and right now we have a practice where we do respond in terms of providing traffic counts, or we'll set out the hose counters to confirm volumes and speeds, and look at the 85th percentile to confirm, are they in fact speeding, or is it perceived speeding? Because a lot of times, you have a loud muffler that might be interpreted as speeding, but what we rely on are facts and data. So certainly, again, to go back to this particular case, we do believe warrants the extension of the 40 through that zone. And to that matter, I think recognizing, the number of speed inquiries we have, perhaps they're complaints, I don't like to use that word, but inquiries, we would suggest that we start to look at some policy matters in terms of traffic calming and a traffic calming policy. That's been on kind of the list of things to do for our engineering team for some time, but perhaps a heightened priority is needed for that, so we can have not only just looking at the volumes and the 85th percentile, or the average speed of that road, but also looking at pedestrian generators. Are there beach access? What's the road allowance? What's the width? What's the boulevard width? What's the classification of road? And develop a matrix that's suitable for Wasaga Beach, and use that to help respond to a lot of these traffic inquiries.
And Kevin and I have briefly discussed the traffic calming policy. I think it would assist in those situations when you get those calls. Doesn't mean we're putting speed bumps all over town, but in certain cases, maybe the speed does need to be lowered, or there's things that need to be looked at. So I think that is something that would be beneficial down the road. Councillor Eagle?
Hey, yes, through you, Madam Chair. I've had quite a few calls about this, and I also am aware that the residents here, I do believe, submitted you a petition about this. Did they not, Kevin?
Yes.
It is a petition.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a concern of the residents since I've been on council about the speed limit here, because of the uniqueness of this, where you're coming from a 40 into a 50 or a 50 into a 40, and it's for such a short period of time. People come speeding along Tiny Beaches Road, River Road East, and then they hit the boundary of Wasaga Beach, and then it drops, or it goes up to a 50. And there's a lot of confusion that the people just jump on the gas there and everything. According to the speed checks, it's not really out of whack according to everything, but the thing here too is the safety, is there's no shoulder whatsoever. The people cannot walk along the side of the road or anything. I do know that there was the concern, but as Kevin and I talked about it, they brought up the concern about the woman that was hit, I think, on the bus, whatever it was, but that was not a factor of this road whatsoever, so I'm not saying that is. But because of the situation and the uniqueness of this, I would be prepared to put through a motion today to accept staff's recommendation on this to reduce the speed there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, and that will be your decision to put that forward. I'm just wondering, is staff in a position today, or would it be better for you to take this petition and bring something forward next month considering things?
For the sake of expediency, and we'd certainly be willing to consider a motion today in terms of what's critically needed is the bylaw. So the authorization to not only reduce the speed, but to pass a bylaw to enable that reduction. So if we can
But you're comfortable that you've looked at this particular situation. Yeah. I don't want people to think that if they put in a petition, automatically we're going to pass something. This has been reviewed and looked at.
It has been, and I guess to add on that, I think future such requests, we're hopeful to have this traffic calming policy before council by September, and it will be the governing document for these types of considerations. And what it will look at is, effectively, most traffic calming policies have an evaluation matrix based on like a point system, and points are generated based on the classification of road. Again, is there sidewalks or not? What's the width of the lane? And it takes into a lot of different factors over and above just traffic volumes and speed. And that develops, there's a minimum threshold that it needs to meet, and then beyond that, there's different measures that could be passive, from line painting to supplemental signage to more permanent facilities, raised intersections, speed bumps, humps, and different types of methods. And there's a Canadian guide for traffic calming in neighborhoods that is out there, and certainly plenty of best management practices for that. But I think it's something that's certainly warranted now, and that we can develop criteria specific for our community. Just because there is narrow lanes, actually narrow lanes does encourage traffic calming, and as most of you know, probably the majority of our lanes in town or right-of-ways in town are narrow, certainly north of Molesley. So there are some unique characteristics that we have to be considerate of when we do develop this matrix and bring it forward.
Okay. Mayor Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you to the Director. So we have done a speed count here. We put the machine in for 2 weeks or whatever, and what was the average speed, do you know?
The 85th percentile was 54, so it was not, the posted speed limit is 50, so it wasn't, that wasn't the controlling factor behind this. As I said, what we're focusing on really is just that transition from, there's an existing multi-kilometer road at 40, and really you're following that same type of geometric design through town for about another 500, 600 meters, so it's just maintaining that speed limit through. So we're seeing about 1,000 average daily traffic, 1,000 vehicles, and the 85th percentile majority of speed was 54 kilometers an hour.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Anyone else? Okay, it's moved by Councillor Ego, seconded by Councillor Stockwell. Be it resolved that the Public Works section of Coordinated Committee does hereby recommend to Council that the posted speed limit for River Road East between Archer Road and Eastdale Drive be reduced to 40 kilometers per hour, consistent with that portion extending to and from Tiny Township, and further that a bylaw be established authorizing the same.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of committee, having heard the question, I'll call for the vote. Councillor Belanger?
In favor?
Councillor Bray?
In favor.
Councillor Ego?
In favor?
Councillor Smith?
In favor.
Mayor Smith?
In favor?
Councillor Stockwell?
In favor.
Chair by Fulci?
In favor?
Thank you. The motion carries on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay. And,
So I just wanted to ask for a point of order. I have something that I think needs to be talked about. It's the mosquitoes, and I didn't see any place on the agenda where I could put that. So just asking the clerk for how we get that on there. getting all kinds of complaints. So I don't know what the process would be.
I will look to our CAO and our clerk for
Yes,
some
thank you.
direction on that.
Okay.
I have no issue having the discussion.
Right.
We just need to know
Right.
for protocol, process.
Right.
Are you asking if we have mosquitoes? Madam Chair.
Yes.
May I suggest you carry on with your agenda and just before we adjourn, I'm waiting for a response.
Okay, so we're gonna, I'll read the next motion and hopefully by then we'll have an answer to that. It's moved by Councillor Belanger, seconded by Councillor Bray. Be it resolved that the Public Works Section of Coordinated Committee hereby receives the July 20th, 2017 consent agenda items 4.4.1 through to 4.4.3, and that all the recommendations contained therein be adopted. I don't believe anything was pulled. Is there anything at this point was pulled? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having heard the question, I'll call for the vote. Councillor Belanger.
In favor?
Councillor Bray.
In favor?
Councillor Ego.
In favor?
Councillor Smith.
In favor?
Mayor Smith.
In favor?
Councillor Stockwell.
In favor.
Chair by Fulci.
In favor?
Thank you. The motion carries on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed.
And I think this is a prime example, and I thought we used to have a spot on our agendas where we could, you know, other business, there was something, because I think under each of our sections here, you know, from one meeting to the next, things come up, and I think that we need to have that opportunity to bring something like this up. I was in the bush the other day. I was called by a resident, and I can say I got eaten alive. I sent Kevin an email, so it's
We'll look for the bug spray.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
By the case in Chief Canada, you can't have any bug spray.
Yeah.
You can go out there with a bomb and spray it around. That's not pretty.
Well,
Is that a sign from time to time, or what other duties?
Grab signs.
No bugs.
No bugs.
Hey,
Works for the deer.
hey, hey. Make sure you do it in Braille.
Future meetings.
Folks can't read.
there used to be other business,
Yeah.
so that's where I'm, you know, I honestly believe that that needs to be added in, not necessarily to make decision stuff, but there's
No.
other business that comes up that, you know, to just say we can't talk about it because we don't have a section. So if I was to ask the committee for support to discuss it now, is there an issue with that? Okay, so I'll look to the committee for support to open it up for the discussion about the mosquitoes. All those in favor? Councillor Smith.
thank you. I, as most of you, are getting many complaints about the mosquitoes. I did call Public Works and talk to Sue, and perhaps Kevin can explain the policy better than I can. I know that they used to spray the catch basins and a few other things for West Nile in the past few years. She tells me that they can't spray because of the chemicals, and I understand that and appreciate that, but I see on Facebook now there's posts for people that will come and spray your yard. And if we don't allow spraying, why are these people running a business where they're charging people to come and spray their yards? So I think
Yeah, so, Madam Chair, this, we did discuss mosquitoes actually at the last coordinated committee meeting. And for years, the town, there is a process that we do follow. And it's really regulated through the Muskoka District Health Unit. And what municipalities are required to do, specific to ours, is to, first we're designated as a larviciding standby allocation, I guess is what we're classified as. So we need to engage and have on retainer a licensed exterminator or contractor that can perform larvicide. That individual needs to have an MOE permit as well as I guess a clearance letter from the medical officer of health to support that. Again, this year, and as we have, I think at least since at least 2010, since I've been around, we've been identified as that, and have someone on retainer and standby to perform larviciding if necessary. So the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit has staff that periodically comes throughout the community and does larval dipping. So they'll do dips within the catch basins to confirm any activity or concerns. They'll explore the select stormwater management ponds as well as ditches. And they do the sampling, and they also have mosquito traps situated throughout town. So they are the kind of the authority that looks for indicators, West Nile virus indicators within the select mosquito breeds. So we rely on them to perform those tests. And if we are advised to larvicide, then we do have a contractor on retainer, and we do have a budget allocated for him to apply larvicide, which is a chemical or bioadditive to catch basins, ponds, ditches, whatever it might be. So we do have that system in place. We don't go around and spray, and certainly there's a lot of standing water throughout the community. There's a lot of wetlands in the community. Reasonably, we do not go and stir the water in the ditches, nor do we go through the wetlands and agitate the water to drown the larva that's present. We just don't have the resources to do that. So for swim ponds, we rely on these fountain aerators to generate that agitation, because any simple rippling will drown the larva. Similar with, I think, stagnant water by definition from what I understand through the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit is really standing water that's in place for a period of 7 days. So if there's no activity, then that's usually an indicator. And certainly to protect yourself is bug spray and certain elements and cover up, but we do not agitate standing water throughout the community. We just do not have the resources to do that.
Yeah, we can't control how many mosquitoes we get, but what about the people who are spraying on these lawns and things?
I'm not aware of any spray.
Yeah, it's on Facebook.
Okay, so maybe we can, through our bylaw department or something, we can look into that.
Just
Through
advertise.
the bylaw department, we'll maybe look and see if there's any complaints. that come
Yeah,
in and
because they're advertising, and I thought, well, if I spray my yard and my neighbor doesn't,
Right.
these guys are
They're
gonna
gonna
move
be next
over
door.
anyway,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. So the CO will look into that with Doug and Sylvia, or Councillor Gray. Did you-
Thank you. Yes, I had one comment. Apparently West Nile was confirmed in Collingwood, so I wondered if that would maybe up our watch or our region, or until they find it here, we don't get to do anything
We're
about it.
still on heightened surveillance, as we are every year. There's been indicators in Barrie in the past and in other neighboring communities. I think the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit are more, they're frequently attending. Actually, they're in the office yesterday, and staff go around with them and lift the catch basin lids so they can do the dipping. So they're certainly on a heightened inspection course right now, but we haven't had an increase in number of calls to the office, but our status remains the same in terms of what we've been designated as, and if we're told to larvicide, then there's a process we follow. We have the measures in place to do that.
And then further to that, I know that Mike Jennings has left the room, but I wonder if we could maybe educate, because I didn't realize that if you agitated the water, you would drown them. Maybe in our community page, we could have hey, we all have mosquitoes, but there's a few things you can do to, don't have standing water. If you do, stir it.
I think there's certainly a lot of information available on the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit website pertaining to West Nile virus, and we don't need to reinvent the wheel. And
No, we can
have
just
a link or a hyperlink.
We can share that
to
information.
We can share that for sure.
I see the CAO writing, so I'm sure Mike will be asked to do
Yeah,
that.
that was my next question, Deputy Madam Chair, was to see if we could get a media release or some kind of notice out there. And they don't
We
air
have a
those
couple of
things.
others in the room that might do that too, I don't know.
Story on the bus.
So,
Councillor Stockwell?
so what can we do about mosquitoes? Nothing?
Bug spray.
Other than signs? Yeah, no, signs won't work.
Large fly swatters.
I mean, we're really, they're bad.
They are bad, and believe it or not, there's also recommendations through that web link that we'll post from Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit, but certainly bug spray and cover up. And it's kind of the common things that we do when we know the bugs are bad. So
No
yes,
spraying.
enough.
No spraying.
cycle.
Yeah.
Can't do anything about it.
Mayor
You have a
Smith?
friend, huh?
No, I was just, I wasn't, my
You're
hand
just
wasn't up.
swinging your
Yeah,
arms.
it's just like, what are we gonna do about them? They're mosquitoes, for God's sakes.
He was swatting mosquitoes.
Like in Florida.
It rains every other day.
Yeah. So, okay, if there's nothing else on that, then we will recess till 10:30 and allow the next recording secretary to.
Okay.
Thank you.